All right, we are here with week 44 of It's Business Time. Joined this week by Dan Rigby. Dan, thank you for coming through, my man.
Aaron, thanks for having me. I'm
Appreciate
excited.
it. From Win the Day Planner. Yeah, this is cool. This is another kind of whisper down the lane, or what's a daisy chain kind of connection here. Yeah. Allison Perugini was our guest a few weeks ago, and she's in a kind of similar space in terms of like the coaching and performance space. And she recommended you, and right before her was Jen Evans, who recommended. So I like this chain of great small business owners recommending the next person. Certainly makes my job easier. I don't have to go calling everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
So thanks for joining. Before we get rolling real quick, I do always like to give a quick thank you to Stitch House for having us. Stitch House is right here on Market Street. They always have 12 beers on draft. All of them are made right here in Wilmington. They have great food, so if you find yourself in the Market Street area or looking for a great brewery, swing through. They are a small business as well, so we want to thank them for us being here. And with that, Dan, we're rolling. Dan, thanks again for joining us. And yeah, it's a journey. We were talking a little bit beforehand. The small business life, you come at it from all different ways. There's the fundraising, there's the bootstrapping, there's all those different things. That's why I kind of like to start out by getting a little background.
Sure.
Like, what were you doing before you came up with Win the Day?
Yeah.
What was the kind of thought process? And then what was that moment where you said, you know what, like this has been in my Google Drive for long enough, or this has been on the pencil sheet for long enough. It's time to make this a reality, and get rolling with this business. So tell us a little bit about what you were doing before, and then what was that moment that you said, all right, it's time to launch.
Yeah, I wish I had a really cool story for you, but I don't. The reality is I'm a public high school teacher. I'm supposed to say the word PE teacher, but I'm a gym teacher. And, with that, I was a coach for a long time. I coached wrestling, and we had some success. And what I learned is that, coaching is a lot of X and O based, a lot of physical based, but it's a lot of mental and emotional based too. And so once I started coaching the whole athlete, my teams just got better. Stepped away from wrestling 2 years ago, continued to work with the athletes. A lot of the younger coaches in the school said, Dan, will you help our guys? Will you help our athletes? Kind of with this, the book clubs and the culture and the leadership. So I said I would. And then what I found is that they were really good at telling me what I wanted to hear, but they weren't really good at doing what they said they were going to do.
Right.
So we lacked that accountability a little bit. And so it was easy for me to find a tool in a planner / journal that could help keep them accountable, could kind of be a guide for them to keep them on track. And so I literally jumped on Etsy. I found a template. I modified it to the things that I thought were important. I printed it at the local mom and pop shop, and I gave it to them.
Okay.
Wasn't supposed to be a business. It was a passion of mine to help young athletes. And before you know it, another team heard about it, and another team heard about it, and they keep wanting me to print these. And eventually I had to say, the aha moment was, I can't afford to keep printing these at an overpriced mom and pop shop. If they want it, they have to buy it.
Right.
So at that point, we just figured out how to scale. It's been a year almost to the day that we've launched this, and it's been a wild journey of entrepreneurial experience, if you will.
I love that because that's you found a niche, or a niche found you, I should say, and that whole you were doing it because you knew it was beneficial, and you realized you had to make a business out of it because you couldn't afford to just keep doing it for free for everyone. That's like the epitome of it's a passion project that turns into a business for the right reasons. So yeah, tell me a little bit about that moment too, because for me that's I nerd out on this stuff. That moment where you're like, so you're physically printing out planners for folks who had been asking you through your network.
Correct.
And then you're delivering these planners. They're using these planners.
Correct.
They're getting good success. And then they're saying, can we get more of these planners?
Yeah, exactly. And it's the beauty of small business is word of mouth, right? So when somebody enjoys the product that you've created, they tell someone else, and they tell someone else, and before you know, it's exponential growth. Yeah. So for me, it's all about passion. This was easy for me. This was exciting for me. This is something I love to do. And so it was a natural fit, and it wasn't really about the business. But as we kept going, it was more about kind of spreading that influence to people who needed it, right? I know we've come out of COVID and young adults are struggling with lots of different things. So how do we have a mechanism and a tool that can help them with those things? And so for me, it's never really been about the business. It's been more about the passion, and the business side has kind of found me, if you will. You know? So
no, that makes sense. That is a natural segue into a question I want to get to, but I don't know if I want to jump there quite yet.
I'm with you.
But that's like, the proprietary, like the sole ownership, all that type of stuff. But let's stay in the early days here just for a moment more. In those early days, was this largely you? Did you have like friends who were helping you? Was it like you alone? I always picture sometimes small business owners, it's like 1 a.m. and they're like working so furiously on their planner, and they're like, oh my gosh, I have a class at 7 a.m.
No, that's literally exactly what it was. I have a really supportive girlfriend of like 9 years, and I better make sure I got that right. And when I say the word we, it's really me and her. It's Dan's the brand, but she's the brains. And to be honest with you, when I was developing this and when I developed the mobile application part of this, I'm working with people overseas whose time zone is different. So most mornings I was getting up at 3 a.m. to work for 3 hours before I go to school. I teach all day. I come home, a couple more hours on the couch. So it is that grind, and it's fun. It's scary. It's everything. It's just wild. It's a really wild journey. So it's me, my awesome girlfriend, and I have a few co-workers, contractors. Allison's one of them that does some work with me. But for the most part, it's the guy you see right now.
That's cool. Yeah, I remember. So I did curriculum myself for a while. Not to say that the planner is curriculum, but it's in a similar space, right? You're delivering kind of models for learning. And there is that addictiveness of like, once I finish this section, I can put a pin on it, be done this section. And once I finish, and you kind of see the finish line for some of these projects. And so, was that some of the, that early, the 3 a.m. stuff? You're like, once this is done, then I can
breathe. But it's funny. It never, like, as a coach, I always wanted a little bit more. As a teacher, I always thought I could do better.
Right.
And so, we get done the first planner, and it's like, well, what's next? There's always a next. Let's do something else. Let's do something better. And the fun part, going back to the last question for me, was I was with a team not long ago down the road here in Wilmington, and the coach says, my gosh, how many employees do you have now? You guys have grown so much. Like there's lots of teams using this across the state and across the country and worldwide. Like, you guys how many employees do you have? And I think I lied to her. I was like, we're growing, but it's really just me. And so to me, that's like really exciting, is that people see you, the brand awareness is there, the exposure's there, people are talking about it, and you're just this gym teacher on your couch at 3 a.m. in the morning getting this stuff done and thinking about what's next, and that's fun,
Definitely. And it's a great line for that is I have a lot of strategic partners.
I do, and that's true. I mean, and luckily, like, you don't get to places like this alone. Like, you are the person that's in the front of the pack. But there's a million people along the way who have been really supportive, and like, it's also just, it's a scary journey. This journey you're going alone, but like, there are so many supportive, awesome people out there, like the small business groups in Delaware, and all these people. Like, there's so many resources out there like this, just like this, like having conversations about this kind of stuff. It can be a lonely place sometimes, especially when like you're paying a lot of money for things to get done, and it's just you, and if things don't work out, it's scary. But it's that part has been really exciting and kind of encouraging to me that there are resources out there for you, and you just got to find them.
Okay, so there's been two opportunities to segue, so I'm going to take that one in terms of resources is a big one, right? When you're starting up, one of the reasons I started this series in the first place is because, I run into a lot of people who have business ideas, and they're kind of sitting on them. They don't want to get rolling on them until they've done some fundraising and market research, and they have all their partners in place and everything. And it depends on their product. Obviously, it's product specific, but in certain cases, I'm like, man, you can spend the next 10 years waiting for conditions to be perfect, or you can dive in now. This is kind of something that you did, but we were talking a little bit before. And you're the sole owners.
That's me.
Is that correct?
That's me.
So when you talk about raising money to develop your app and all that stuff, that's all coming from.
That's all self-funded.
from Dan Rigby's
100%.
pocket.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gotcha. And like that's got to be obviously a little bit stressful, scary when you put your personal money up for a business.
Yeah. I think like for me, right, and I'll go back to what you said is, I think all those things are probably the right things to do. Like plan and get backers, and it's safe. It's safe to do those things.
Totally.
I didn't do any of them.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, like I'm glad I didn't. Right. I'm a fire, aim, ready kind of guy. Like I just went and I'll figure it out. I don't recommend that for everybody because other people are built different, right? Like I'm gonna like I jump in the pool and then I figure out how to swim, which is dangerous, right? And and I've screwed up a lot during this. And when you're screwing up with large amounts of money, that's scary, that's discouraging. But like it goes back to my coaching background, right? Like that's part of the journey, it's part of the process, and I don't have any other choice but to figure it out. Because if I don't figure it out, I'm out a lot of money.
Right.
And there's this sense of failure that's on the other side. I'm not going to let that happen. So I'm 100% self-funded. I've had opportunities where people have said, "Let me jump in on this. Do you need a financial backer?" And when you're $40,000 or $50,000 into a mobile app, self-funded, and somebody offers you a large amount of money, there's a big part of you that says, "I could really use this as a safety net."
Right.
But then the part of me says, but I really believe in what I'm doing, and I really believe in where this is going. Right. And do I really want to give up 25 or 30% of my business to somebody who just gives me money? That's not me. For other people, it's probably a really smart thing to do. It's just not me.
Yeah. It's like it's tempting to turn this into a Shark Tank, type conversation.
Exactly.
But no, that's like I was going to ask kind of what goes through your mind. Like, are you thinking about the future? Are you thinking about where are they going to be? Because they're $40,000 or whatever to help you out. Their cash influx.
Sure.
That matters a lot now. A year from now doesn't matter as much, and 2 to 5 years from now almost doesn't matter at all.
No, at all.
For some business, of course, other businesses, if you're going to go into bankruptcy, that can be the saving grace. Exactly 100%. What you need.
For me, like if I had to find a partner, it would be someone who brings cash to the table that can match the investment that I already made, but is a strategic partner in terms of what else are they bringing in terms of value. Yeah. Value is obviously. We
might be talking to your future partner.
Yeah. Who wants to be? I'm beyond that point now. But the reality is, it's that continued value. What connections do you have? What relationships do you have? What can you bring to the business besides cash? You can go to the bank and get a loan for that. So that's always been kind of my thing, and we're looking at we've looked at like people to come on in an affiliate type model, where they'll sell for a percentage or something along those lines. But it's scary, and if I didn't have my 9-to-5 teaching job, it'd be even more scary. So if I'm just a pure entrepreneur without a 9-to-5, I don't know that I would have made the same decisions that I did make.
Right.
But I'm lucky that I have steady income every 2 weeks and a paycheck. That allows you to be a little more risky with your decision making.
Yeah, you also have a free market research too.
Yeah,
which is that's really, really valuable, particularly when you're developing curriculum, to hear feedback from the people you're doing it for on a regular basis. So that teaching connection, I can definitely see that being like a continual feed of inspiration, of content, things like that.
Well, and I think too, like people always ask, like, what makes you different? And I meet with some of the best athletic directors in the world, in the country, and teachers, and what makes you different? I say, I'm you. I know what students are going through.
Right.
I know what coaches are going through. I know that the hurdles that you're going to get into to get your coaches on board with this. I've thought about all that because I've been there, and I'm there right now. Where sometimes you get curriculum design people that are in an office somewhere saying that that product is great. Like there's no doubt about it, but the implementation of that product is the hard part, and that's why people aren't buying it. So I think those two things, we have a good product, but we also have a really good understanding of who our market is and how do we get to them. And that's really been helpful for us. So you're 100% right about that.
Yeah. A lot of startups spend a lot of time, energy, and money trying to educate their people as to how important this thing is.
Correct.
In your space, it seems like, and that's, I actually kind of want to talk a little bit about the product itself, but in your space, it seems like it's kind of baked in, like they understand the value of this planner. And so when you started those early days and people were looking at your planner, see, because I know myself, I'm the type of person that if I wake up in the morning and I know what to do with my day, I crush it.
Yeah.
But if I wake up and I'm confused, next thing you know, it's noon and I'm like, what did I do with my morning?
Yeah.
What am I going to do with my afternoon? You know, so I really understand and value planning. For your product in particular, you kind of brought it up. You talk to these coaches, and they're like, how does what you do differentiate from others? Like, is there something just brief you could share about the value?
Yeah, I think for us, we're constantly evolving. So the first several months, we were a paper-based book journal planner and sold on Amazon, sold in bulk directly to consumer. And we listened. Coaches said, hey, a lot of my athletes did a really good job pen and paper, but it's 2024. Would you come up with the mobile app? And we did.
Right.
So we listen to what our customers are saying regularly, and we pivot very quickly. Here's a perfect example. Right now, cell phones in schools are like not in a good spot. Like schools are like, hey, we're going to get rid of the cell phone thing. We allowed them after COVID, but we're like, it's really detrimental to our students.
Right.
So we've already pivoted, and we're going web-based. So students can do the planning on their computer or their mobile device and not just on their mobile device. So we're a little bit ahead of the curve in that regard. So I think that's important.
While we're on that, can we give a quick, where can people find the mobile device, the web-based
app?
So
everything's on whenthedayplanner.com. The website is being redone as we speak, as we grow. That crap website that I first had has to go down the drain.
Hey, it's...
So the 17th of July, we'll have a brand. So probably when this is airing, our website, our brand new website will be live.
I'll push it until the 18th.
Yeah, that'll work out perfectly then. So by the time your viewers are watching, we'll have a really clean and more sophisticated website. So
nice.
whenthedayplanner.com.
You can check it out right here, whenthedayplanner.com.
Yep.
Check that out. Normally we save that for the end.
Yeah,
but you're making this my job super easy. You're giving me all these segues, all these layups. But I guess that's what a coach does, right? You facilitate the win.
Try to make things easy for everybody around you.
Yeah, for sure. So you're on this journey. You've been doing this a year.
Yep.
You still have the teaching job in the day. You're doing this at night. Your team is a group of strategic planners.
Strategic partners, absolutely.
And planners. Strategic partners.
I like that, though. Strategic planners. We'll use that,
Who kind of, who are out there using your product, who are telling you the ups and downs, like, finding contacts and things like that.
Yep.
What's been like through this whole process? And you've touched on a few of these. Obviously, the app and the investment there, that's a big one. But through this process, what's been like one of the moments that had you say, like, maybe I'm not on the right track.
Yeah.
Maybe I did all of this wrong.
Yeah.
And panic mode kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then what kind of happened to get you through that moment?
I think every entrepreneur probably goes through this. Like, there's moments where you expected to sell 300 in a week and you sold 3.
Right.
And so then you start automatically going into panic mode and saying, maybe this product is not what I thought it was. Maybe this system that I thought I had figured out is not there. And you have to snap yourself out of it. Like, that's another benefit, right? Like, I'm this mindful guy who's just like, I'm really good at, like, Dan, that's not you. Get it together. You just got to pivot and fix it. And this is a journey. This is not, this is about the process. And so for me, there's been lots of those moments. It's just like the journey for everybody, man. It's like this roller coaster. I would love to see an entrepreneur whose just trajectory is very linear up the whole time. But lots of scary moments where you're deciding how to pay for this or how to pay for that, and but I can't really point to any one thing that says. I think it's just my general demeanor where it's like, this is going to be okay, and if there's no other option. Like, you're going to figure this out because that's who you are. And if you don't, you're going to go hide for a while and figure it out. And so, I think when you really know what you stand for and when you really believe in what you're doing, your decision-making process gets a little easier. Yeah. It's the people who don't really have clear vision for where they want to go that probably struggle when things get tough.
Yeah, got you. And it's fun. I've interviewed a fair amount of performance coaches, life coaches, trainers, things like that. It is fun. The mindset is there. It's infectious too. Like, I leave a lot of these conversations being like, man, I'm going to win the day too.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It definitely kind of catches on. So let me invert the question.
Sure.
Okay, you have this positive attitude. You're going to power through anything. Is there something you can mark that like set that? Was it like a mentor when you were little, a parent? Like, is there something like, because think about it like this. For those who are watching at home and they have a great business idea and they want to wake up every day, just drive. Every problem they hit, they drive. That's not a reality for everybody.
No, it's not.
Some people wake up and they're struggling with anxiety, depression. They're struggling with finances. They're struggling with family members, all that type of stuff. And they're looking for the type of inspiration that you seem to have so naturally. Is there anything like, is it diet, sleep?
No,
I mean, you're a coach, so I know there's a lot of
there's
that
a lot
stuff,
here, and I know we're on a little bit of a time crunch here, but like for me, like I was lucky enough to have 2 parents that were amazing. Like they're amazing. I was blessed with some of the best coaches that I've ever could have asked for. So I had all these things naturally, but I also went through some stuff. Like I got divorced at a really early age. I lost some good friends. Like things that other people experience, I experienced them. And to be honest with you, like my outlook through those things of growth, this growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset has been really helpful for me. But I also think there is a moment like, 7 or 8 years ago where I decided that, actually probably more like 5 years ago, that I was just going to be a better version of myself. I was going to eat better. I was going to really focus on my sleep. I was not going to drink so many beers. I was going to, and I was going to probably develop just a better system of what I do on a regular basis, which is encompassing in this planner. And so I lived this, and when I lived this, all of a sudden those other things just kind of happen naturally. Like your energy levels are up, you're more positive, you're sleeping better, you're making better decisions, there's no brain fog. So like I think like that holistic kind of just take care of yourself and do the right things, help other people, be a servant leader, like it all comes around, it all comes back. But I also don't, I said this before, like I didn't get here alone, right? My parents have been amazing. My girlfriend's amazing. My family's amazing. I've had great mentors and great coaches. So not everybody has that experience. Totally. But I also believe that there's a part of this that you can do on your own. And everybody's capable of doing that. Yeah, no, I like that. There's no life hack. It's lots of little things. Habit stacking.
Habit stacking. Yeah, I can definitely tell you've been reading a lot of the books. Ready, Fire, Aim was one of the ones I read. The Growth Mindset is another good one. I have one to recommend for you as your future journey. Because if when you're keeping the daytime job and you're still going to be growing the business, there's going to be a lot of delegation coming up. So Radical Candor is a book. If you haven't read, it was written by a top Google executive. And it was really just about that balance between if you're too direct with people, they wall up and they don't actually do work. They hide from you. And if you're not direct enough, then they go running all willy-nilly all over your plans, your brand.
That's exactly
when you
what I
talk
need.
about affiliates.
That's exactly what I need.
As soon as you talk about affiliates, and I felt that defensiveness of the brand. I was like, I got to mention this book, Radical Candor.
That's right. That's exactly what I need because I do struggle with that. That is probably one of my biggest areas of struggle is a little bit of a type A, a little bit control freak. The people around me are really, really good, but I can't grow this thing unless I bring in more people, and I got to be able to make them feel comfortable in what they do. And
I'll say, so I'm an uncle to 10. I was one of 6 kids. So identifying where people are at and where they're headed is like one of my things. And I'm like, it sounds like you got this part good. It's like, but once you get outside, Radical Candor, I think will be a good one for that. But no, it's been awesome. You're like I said, I'm already feeling pumped. I want to go home and start firing off some emails and stuff. But it's been a pleasure to have you. Real quick before you go, let's just get one more proper commercial. Best way for people to find you, best way for them to reach out. Is that through the website, Instagram?
winthedayplanner.com, and we're also very active on Win the Day Planner on Instagram as well. It's where we do most of our stuff, LinkedIn as well, but everything's Win the Day Planner based.
All right. Awesome. Sounds easy to find you. And this won't come out until the 17th.
There we go.
We'll be all
check out the new website.
Lined up there. But Dan, thank you so much. Dan
Appreciate
Rigby, everybody from Win the Day Planner, winthedayplanner.com. Thanks again for joining
Thanks for having me.
44 of It's Business Time. Thanks again to Stitch House, and we will see you guys next time.